And we are live. Welcome back to BothEndsOfTheCourt.com. I'm Dude LeBron.
I'm Dude Kobe.
And we're here to talk about this week's crazy basketball week. Last night was ridiculous. So I'm talking about the Clippers versus the Warriors. Two teams that really hate each other. What happened?
Well, so at the time I was watching, I get a text from you being like, "Are you watching this?" And you're at work.
Yep.
So Dude LeBron here was, I think, excited to see the Warriors getting it taken to him. And I just was like, well, you know, it was bound to happen. Had to happen at some point.
Chris Paul had switched shoes with
man.
Curry.
Chris Paul coming out in that first quarter was unstoppable. And I think that's the first key to understanding what happened. He was unsustainably good. Not that he's not a spectacular player. He is awesome. He is capable of huge things. But he's not generally capable of 18 points straight in like 7 minutes. Curry doesn't do that on a regular basis. Nobody does that on a regular basis. So I think that the huge lead was a little bit overblown. It was a little bit more than just the Clippers are playing this much better. It was just Chris Paul isn't missing. So that was the first key.
He made some really clutch shots.
Man.
And you're like, that guy looks like Curry.
Yeah,
and
he did.
Curry wasn't even there to guard him because Golden State, the Clippers did something they're supposed to do. They attacked Curry early and often and got him 2 fouls and took him out of the game in the first half. Why didn't they keep doing it?
To a point, I think they did. Klay Thompson had a big first quarter. It wasn't noticed because Golden State was getting blown out, but he had a big enough first quarter that it wasn't a 40-point deficit at least. The Golden State switched some defensive assignments, and they trusted Curry to be a smart defender, to continue to apply pressure without putting himself in a position where he would have to foul. And so, it was risky because they need Curry on the court dropping 40 points in order to come back like that.
Yep. So I kind of think that Golden State really brought it back because there's 2 ways to think about it. Did the Clippers lose the game or did the Warriors win the game? And I think the Warriors won the game because, they picked it up on defense. They kind of pushed Chris Paul into harder shots. And they let Jamal Crawford shoot whatever he wanted to.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree here.
And Curry, he did play smart, and he did finally make those shots that you usually see him make.
He did.
Like he demanded the ball, and he got it, and he took him to the win.
No, I'm not saying that they didn't pick it up on defense, but it was totally the Clippers' game to lose. You were watching, especially Blake Griffin, but even Chris Paul and every single other player, once the Warriors went on their mini run in the third quarter.
Like 20-3 run.
Well, okay, when they had first started their run.
Okay.
The Clippers looked like scared little kids. They really did. They were panicking. You could see it on their faces, in the stiffness of their posture, constantly looking back at their coach. They looked scared. Like, oh no, the Warriors are doing it again. What are we gonna do? And that's not professional.
Right.
That's not what millionaire superstar, been playing basketball since they were 3 years old kind of guys are supposed to do. It was weird for me to watch because I wanted Golden State to come back, but the Clippers lost it. I didn't think that the Warriors just all of a sudden started playing so much better and won it. I didn't think so.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of true because you have a 23-point lead. Do you really win that game?
Yeah.
I think the Warriors were the only ones that could do it, but it was kind of the Clippers' fault as well.
Yeah.
But I still think the Warriors, just because of who they are, they just know that they can win any game that they want to.
Yeah, I got to give you a little bit of room there because it's true. They have the confidence and the skill to win any game against any team. If this would be a fun experiment. If you started the game and had the Warriors with negative 10 points to start the game,
would they?
I don't know. I think they still would be. I really do.
Unless they were playing Brooklyn. Random. So, on that note, which two teams have surprised us most this year? I have to go with the Bulls because I thought Derrick Rose would be bad, and he has been, but I didn't think Jimmy Butler would be that good.
Okay.
He's kept them number 2 in the East.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't thinking that the Bulls would be the number 2 team, even
Right.
after they beat the Cavs that first game, because like they lost 3 early games. So
They
were like
did.
4-3, and they were looking average, and you're like, oh.
And they had a terrible 25-point beatdown in there.
And like you just didn't think that they would just have that season, but they won the last 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And they're now almost tied with the Cavs.
Yeah, by losses they are tied, and they have the tiebreaker.
That's
so
true.
they're an excellent team, and I think people expect them to be good, but I see what you're saying. They look like a title contender.
I mean, Pau Gasol, he's playing just like you would think he would. And then Jimmy Butler, man, he's just move over, Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
Because I'm the now MVP of this team.
Yeah, and I think that the new coach Hoiberg took a lot of flack for the lineup change.
Yep.
But I think it's working. I really do, because Noah is a guy that he will do anything for the team. I don't like him per se. I think he's an annoying basketball player, but you can tell he will do anything. If that means play 48 minutes a night, he will play 48 minutes a night. If it means play 0 minutes a night, he will play 0 minutes a night and sit on that bench and cheer for his team like nobody's business. So I think that the lineup change has helped because they needed to infuse some offense into the starting lineup badly.
Yeah.
And Mirotic has done that.
When Noah comes on the floor, he's usually playing against those second bench teams, and Noah's already a good defender, and you kind of want your bench to score when your starters are out. And
Definitely.
then you meet Noah, and you're like, oh, wait, this guy was a starter?
If I remember right, that was a key in the game against Cleveland where they ended up winning, because Cleveland's starters were
amazing,
as good or better than the Chicago starters, but then the bench came in for Chicago and their bench was just better. The Cavs are not deep like they are. Their starting lineup is scarier than Chicago's, but the bench for Chicago is better at this point. Especially until Irving comes back.
Oh yeah.
And now Mo Williams is hurt for a little bit there. There's an injured team.
And they're still number 1.
And still number 1.
So, which team has surprised you the most?
New York. Absolutely. I thought they would be terrible. I thought Porzingis was an okay pick, not a number
booed.
4. He was booed, and New York fans are educated fans.
We want him now.
But I thought that he was an okay pick. I kind of, unfortunately, I'm sad to admit this, but I hopped on the bandwagon of, he'll be a good project. He'll be a contributor in 2 or 3 years kind of thing. And Melo's a great offensive guy, but he's not gonna carry a team and make them win by himself. Nobody does that, but especially a guy like Carmelo who has always thrived when he's got some other weapons around him. So I thought they would be awful, and they're 6-6. They're in the playoff race right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you get booed draft night, you should go find another team. But he sticked with it, and New York was awful last year, and I think he's the reason why they're doing so good.
No, I agree.
No shots at Melo, but I mean, this guy...
Melo's been great. Melo's been great, but...
He's on all the highlight reels.
Yep.
And it's not something you would expect from a guy in New York.
And I think that's why I've been surprised by them, is because, one, the team's doing better than I thought, but I think, like you said, they're doing better than I thought because Porzingis is doing better than I thought he would. And I would put the Nuggets with Moutier in that same category. A team I thought would be terrible. A rookie I thought would take a little while to get going. He's put up awesome numbers. His shooting percentage, both those guys, their shooting percentages, pretty low. But you got to forgive them that because they're putting up numbers across the board. They're doing a little bit of everything. They're scoring when needed. They're playing big minutes right out of the gate.
Yep.
And that's awesome.
I mean, I like when the rookies come in and they make a difference, and you're like, oh man, it means the NBA is going to be relevant still.
Yep.
We're not losing old players.
I remember when Kyrie Irving first came into the league, and he was great. He had all his rookie mistakes like everybody does, but you're like, this guy, man.
Uncle Drew.
Yep. So I have one question for you before we move on.
Okay.
We were talking about the best teams. Now we're talking about surprising teams. Just, without much analysis going into it, what's your gut tell you the first loss for Golden State is going to be?
I have to go with Sacramento right before they go on that road trip.
Sacramento. Defend that.
I mean, look at Rondo. I mean, he's just that kind of point guard that will annoy you, and I think that's what Curry needs, an annoying point guard. Because and Rondo, he's got like triple doubles every game still, and you're like, how is this guy still relevant? And he's on such a weird personality team.
Yep.
And then I always think that the teams that are going to beat Golden State are the guys that have those big men.
Yeah.
And
it's a matchup problem for them, definitely.
That's what I think it is, because like Golden State likes to play small, but you just got to get them in foul trouble. And the next team that's going to do that, I think, is going to be the Kings. And they're just the kind of team that is going to hit you and make you frustrated.
I think you might have a point here with the matchup problem. Rondo, spectacular point guard defender, and very physical, heady, offensive player that Curry's going to have to work his tail off to defend. And then Cousins is a matchup nightmare for them. You can't go small against him. He will brutalize you in the post. So you can't just say, sorry, Bogut, take the night off. You have to have Bogut in there. You have to. You can't say Draymond Green guard Cousins. You can't. And Cousins has added the three-point shot to his repertoire this year. He's stroking it from three. He can handle like crazy for a big man. And so you can't just back 10 feet off him because he can shoot. You can't get right up on him because he can drive. And if you try and guard him one-on-one in the post with a smaller guy, Draymond Green or Iguodala or something, it's going to be a nightmare. So you might have something there, but I'm going to go for Golden State's first loss is going to start here in about 15 minutes to Chicago. I think Chicago's on a roll.
Okay,
that's
true.
I think that momentum plays, and not that Golden State's not on a roll, but Golden State had an exhausting comeback yesterday, and I think that's an kind of a underestimated part of basketball. They had an emotional and physical drain yesterday in that comeback. Heavy minutes for everybody in the starting lineup, especially, and it's back-to-back nights. I believe it's in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken.
Not sure. I could look
we can check on that, but I think the Chicago's going to pull it out. I really do. And Jimmy Butler can guard Stephen Curry.
It's home.
It's a home game for Golden State. Okay, well, I still am going with Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it might be the Kings because it'll. I mean, that's the best case scenario because they go on like a 7-game road trip.
After that.
And if they lose that one game at home, they're going to lose the next 7 games on the road.
Yep.
And, and then,
sure they are.
And then they're going to be number 8th team in the West, back where they should be. And
wow.
I'm just kidding. But
no.
I do think the Kings will give more of a matchup problem. But I do see your point with Chicago being more rested at the moment.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see.
That was a difficult game for Curry.
Yeah.
Even though he sat out half of it.
Well, he got just destroyed by Chris Paul. He couldn't guard Chris Paul. He played awesome offensively, especially in the second half, but he did have a rough defensive game.
So who will he guard on the Bulls? Because it won't be Rose. Like you're going to put Thompson on Rose, right?
I think you got to put Thompson on Jimmy Butler. He's a better defender. And if it were me, I would take Iguodala and start him. I really would. Because Iguodala can guard anybody. Put him on Jimmy Butler. Hide Curry somewhere. Not that Curry's a bad defender. He's actually a great defender. But he is small.
Yep.
He does not have the straight speed that these guys have. He can't jump like these guys can, and so it's not a skill problem so much as just a physical abilities problem.
Because like I know Derrick Rose has been playing bad, but he's still explosive.
Yeah,
and it's going to be hard.
And again, it's bad for Derrick Rose standards. His 3-pointers are atrocious. He should never shoot a 3 again, kind of thing. But he is getting to the rim. He still can hit free throws. And he's still a dangerous player. He's just not an MVP player.
So, if the Bulls beat them tonight, would you call them the best team in the league?
No.
I mean,
No.
you beat the best team in the league. You should be the best
Although it would be a win for the Bulls against Cleveland and Golden State,
team. The two best
the
teams.
two best teams in each conference by most people's standards. So that that would definitely put the Bulls even higher consideration as a title contending team. I think.
Very surprising.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the two worst teams in each conference, just because we have to mention them sometimes. So I'm going to talk about the Pelicans.
Oh.
What happened?
Oh.
What happened?
Davis is playing. He should automatically, with his skill level, be able to not be 1-11.
Right?
They are mind-boggling right now.
Like, I know they've played the Warriors twice, and that would give anyone two
Two
losses.
losses.
But like, they're just losing
Yeah.
so bad.
I couldn't tell you what's wrong with them other than the fact that they don't look happy. They look like there's problems with I don't know. I wish that I had better answers, but
It's
Davis
like-
has played well, but nothing spectacular where you're like, oh, this guy's the next whoever superstar of this generation kind of guy. He's not played like that at all.
It's like the chemistry is gone somewhere.
Yeah.
And like Davis must be happy because he got that contract before this year started.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh man. But then on the other side of it, you're like, oh, now he's stuck there right now on the worst team in the
West. Yep.
And they're one win better than who?
Then the Sixers.
Oh, are they still around?
Oh, I don't know if anyone watching saw my power ranking. I did not consider the 76ers an NBA team this season. They are what I called an asset bank. They take on assets, they sell them out, they move things around. They're a mover in the NBA, but they are not a team right now. And they don't want to be a team right now. I don't know when they're planning to switch from an asset bank to an NBA team.
Right.
And I feel bad for the players who are stuck there as assets rather than players right now, especially the young guys. Okafor is playing out of his mind.
Right.
He's given them everything he's got, and he has to know that their management has no intention of winning any games.
Or keeping him.
Or keeping him even. He can't know that. He can't have any confidence in that.
Like Michael Carter Williams, like he was drafted to be one of those guys that starts a new generation.
Yep.
And he was traded away to get a different guy to start
Yep.
it. And you're like, I mean, he had a great rookie season.
He did.
And I mean, it's not like he's a phenomenal player, but
Yeah.
he's just like
They didn't even really give him
they didn't
much of a chance.
Yeah, what are they doing?
Yeah. So, we'll see how they go. Here's a good question.
Yeah.
When/if will the 76ers win a game?
Well, they almost won against Cleveland,
Oh,
surprisingly.
I know.
But didn't they go like 0-16 last year? Something
They
like
had
that?
a bad start to the season and a bad middle to the season and a bad end to the season.
I mean, I think by Christmas they'll give the fans a win.
By Christmas? Okay.
So in another month, another 10 games.
What will their record be?
Oh,
10-72?
you're right. Again,
8-74?
six wins.
Ooh.
6 wins.
How about this? We'll give the 76ers as many wins as Golden State gets losses. So if they go on a win streak, expect a loss in Golden State. And a win streak for the 76ers means one win.
Oh no, 1-1. Oh no, we'll probably be against the Pelicans.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
like those two teams, I mean, you can kind of give the Pelicans a little bit of a pass, but the 76ers, I know they're in a huge market, which has got to drive those people crazy. But if you tank that long, you need to lose your city.
Yeah. Send them to Seattle or
Send them
something.
to Seattle, send them to LA again. 3 LA teams.
Yeah. They could support it. Another New York team.
I mean, someone's got to replace the old Clippers. Oh, wait. That's the Lakers now. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Really funny.
So, I don't know, maybe 5 tank seasons, and maybe we can go to London. The NFL already is.
But there's cities that would like a team. There's been like little rumblings of interest in Vegas. Seattle would be dying to get a team.
They've been dying ever since they lost them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with how well Durant's been playing for that team.
Yeah, I think San Diego could support an NBA team. There's cities around that would love it.
Even North Dakota could support that team because no one is playing.
Yep.
Oh, so now let's talk about the 2 best teams, Cleveland and the Warriors.
Oh, I was going to say the Warriors in Chicago.
Oh, no. It's only if they win.
Yeah, okay.
So
okay.
how do they keep it up? Because it's a long season. It's really short in the season. And right now I don't see anyone catching them except for the Bulls, maybe.
Yeah. Well, here's the question. By keeping it up, do you mean try to win every single solitary regular season game no matter what it takes? Or do you mean try and get to the playoffs with a very high seed and a high level of health like the Spurs try and do? Which do you mean? Because those are 2 different ways to have success. Both are successful. But which way do you mean? Because there's different strategies to get to those.
So I think Cleveland needs to win every game.
Okay.
Because they need home court advantage and they need to take it away from the Warriors. And
Okay.
I think the Warriors know they play better in front of their fans. The Splash Brothers love when people cheer. And even last night in LA, it felt like a home game.
Yep.
Like they made these plays and you're like, the crowd was getting into it and you're like, man. But I don't think they would have the same home fans in Cleveland, especially during the playoffs.
You would think not. There's always that hard core of fans that travels, but
Right.
as far as like can be heard in the stadium, yeah.
So I think that's what I mean.
Okay. So for the Cavs, home court advantage. They must win every single game. They can't let Chicago have home court advantage in the playoffs because Chicago matches up well with them. They would love to get to the finals and have home court advantage. I think that's tough for an East team, and I know that the East is much better. We've gone into that a little bit. We could talk about that more, how it seems like those bottom East teams are rising up and those bottom West teams are going down. But the top, I still think the West top teams are a little better than the top. A little, not very much, but a little better than the top East teams. And so the East teams need home court advantage in the finals. The West teams, it would be nice, but I don't think it's necessary for them to win a title.
So just a quick statistic note. The East, only 3 teams are below 500, and that includes the Sixers. The West, 6 teams are below 500. That's crazy.
And that includes the Rockets and the Trailblazers.
The Pelicans.
Man, 3 teams that were supposed to be, well, maybe not locks, but good teams.
Playoff teams.
Especially the Rockets, man. We've beat that horse to death,
Oh my
but
gosh.
man.
And they're beating it to death.
Yeah. New coach. Bickerstaff or whatever his name is.
What happened there? Was it the players that wanted him out, or was it the organization?
No, I don't. It wasn't the players. He is known as a players coach. He gets along well with his players. They respect him. I think that management just kind of freaked out. They're like, we were supposed to be a title contender. We were supposed to be, in theory, the second best team in the league.
Yeah.
Legitimately, with the talent on their roster and what they did last year, getting to the Western Conference Finals over a very good Clippers team, they were supposed to be a top 3 team in this league, and they have been terrible. Despite some huge games from James Harden, he's off and on. Half his games are terrible. Dwight Howard will have a 20-20 game, and then he'll have a 5-4 game. And you're like, where does this come from?
Man, I don't know what to think about the Rockets.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not like they're playing super hard teams at the moment. They're just a normal schedule.
So, man, I don't know when I'm going to change my mindset and be like, maybe they're just not as good this year. Because I still feel like they'll turn it on and they'll rip off a whole bunch of wins and they'll be right back in that playoff picture. But at some point, I know people are always like, oh, it's a small sample size. It's a small sample size. But then it's 20 games and then it's 30 games. At some point, it's not a small sample size. It's half a season.
Right.
And you've been bad. So at some point, people have to start thinking maybe the Rockets aren't that terrifying playoff monster that we were thinking they would be. maybe something is wrong with them. I don't know what it is. So nothing against Mikhail, but I hope the new coach can make a difference. But I don't think that Mikhail was the problem. I don't know what the problem was, but I don't think it was him.
Yeah, and it's weird because it throws a little wrench in the MVP race because now Harden, I don't think he can win it this season at all.
If Stephen Curry were to play 30% worse than he's playing right now for the rest of the season, he's still the MVP. He has played so much better. LeBron has had a great season so far, but his free throws look terrible. His threes look pretty bad.
Everything else is good.
Everything else is great. It's beyond good.
It's funny because it's like, oh yeah, he's not playing good, but if he was
like
on my team,
53% from the field,
I'd still take
20
points
shots.
a game.
Yeah, no. I'm not. I'm saying as far as the MVP race goes, a couple of his numbers have dropped off enough where I'm like, Stephen Curry is head and shoulders above everyone right now. Anthony Davis has regressed from last year. Kevin Durant has only played half the year. All these perennial guys that are in it. Paul George, honestly, if his team makes the playoffs and is looking good and he's putting up monster numbers, he's right up there in that second tier of guys. He's not with Stephen Curry, but he's played as well as anybody else has so far.
Same like Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler's right there, absolutely.
I don't know. I feel like the only two guys that could even possibly be MVP is Curry and LeBron at the moment, and maybe Westbrook. He's on the border.
Man, Westbrook is just awesome.
So maybe that's our new MVP guys at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, if Curry gets hurt, then LeBron and Westbrook take the place.
Yeah.
But the people that normally are there are just awful.
Yeah.
Davis is out.
I would like Paul George to get a little bit more credit. I'm not going to say he's quite there, but he has been awesome. He's been scoring 30 points a game on great shooting from everywhere. He has bounced back from that injury like it never happened. And he's made his team relevant in the East, in a much improved East, no less. It's not like last year when you had 35 win teams in the playoffs or whatever ridiculousness. These are plus 500 teams in the playoff race, and his team's right there.
Yeah, and maybe it's just a small sample size, right?
right. Anything else, dude, LeBron?
I think that's it. I think we've covered everything we wanted to, and right now I gotta go watch Golden State get kicked.
We'll see.
Okay.
That would be a great win for them Bulls, man.
So signing out, I'm Dude LeBron.
Dude Kobe.
This is BothEndsOfTheCourt.com podcast.